Hello, everybody. Oh, my God, it's another time for Come Together with the Beatles. And here I am with my co-host and good buddy, Tom Galker. Hello, Tom. What's going on?
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
What's going on, Tom?
Oh, well, we're busy over here in Baltimore, but
You're down there in Baltimore and you're
yeah, we
busy.
have we have a team that needs a little help. I'm wearing the shirt.
I see. All right. Well, go 55. All right. Very good. And we have a very special guest with us who I've known for a long time. And that's Mitch Axelrod. Mitch, welcome to Come Together.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, our pleasure. Absolutely. So, Mitch, you've been doing a lot with the Beatles, and you've done a lot with your interviews and with your program and your show. Just tell our audience a little bit about what you've been doing with your show and with your broadcast.
Sure. Our show is called Fab Four Free for All. We were Fab Forum, Fourum. We had Ken Michaels with us at that time. We changed the name when Ken left us, but since then, SiriusXM has taken our name. They use it for their show on Wednesday nights, so we weren't about to litigate with Sirius. So,
No.
so we said it's okay, whatever, as long as we know we were the original Fab Forum. But yeah, with Fab Four Free for All, I do a show with my buddies Rob Leonard and Tony Triguardo. We've been doing it, including Fab Forum, since 2009. I believe Fab Forum was one of the first, if not the first, all talk Beatle podcasts. And we've interviewed a ton of people. We've had the pleasure of attending a lot of events. So we're fans first, and we always say that we're fans first. We're not, yes, we are journalists. I've written a book on the Beatles, the Beatletoons book, but and Tony and Rob have Beatles shows on terrestrial radio. But we are fans first, so we love just shooting the breeze about the Beatles. We always say that if we didn't have a vehicle to do it on, we'd still be in a diner booth, talking Beatles just amongst the three of us, because we've been friends since probably, well, it's going on 40 years now for all of us. So, it's just something that's really cool. We like keeping the legacy of the Beatles alive.
Very nice. Okay, so you mentioned that you've had, excuse me, a lot of guests on your show.
Yeah.
Can you name some names that I'm sure we probably would recognize?
Oh yeah, I mean we actually did a show with Ringo. We interviewed him for the Why Not album a bunch of years ago, and he liked it so much that we proposed a radio show, which most younger viewers will not even understand what a radio show is anymore. But there used to be radio shows and radio specials to promote albums, and we actually did one for Why Not with him, and that was a blast because he was really cool. But we've interviewed, Bunny Carlos, the drummer for Cheap Trick. We've interviewed Stevie Van Zandt, the guitarist for Springsteen. Yeah. Tons of people. There's so many. I don't want to leave them out, but Edgar Winter. Randy Bachman. I mean, we've just done a lot. We've had the privilege of really interviewing a lot of great people.
So, obviously, you named some names that are out of the Beatles circle.
Yeah.
But, big names, obviously, in the recording and the music world. Very nice.
Yeah, but all of those people still have a great Beatle connection because, yes, we've interviewed Chris O'Dell and she obviously has a connection.
Oh, yes.
But,
yeah.
All of the people I mentioned either were influenced directly by the Beatles or worked with the Beatles. I mean, Bunny Carlos did, I'm Losing You with Rick Nielsen, the original versions of I'm Losing You for Double Fantasy. Randy Bachman has been in the All-Star Band, Edgar Winter also in the All-Star Band. So, all the people we've mentioned have a direct connection to the Beatles.
Well, Randy Bachman, wasn't he with Burton Cummings and the
Guess Who? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just did it a couple of years ago, I guess a few years ago already, did a full tribute album to George Harrison.
Yeah.
So,
did he?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, well, the influences, as you say, I mean, it's probably be very rare to find a musician in their 60s and 70s who were not influenced by the Beatles. It would be very unusual.
It's true, and ever since Get Back, the Peter Jackson special,
Yeah.
the documentary, ever since then, there's so many more younger people, which is great, who are being influenced by the Beatles because they saw the quote cool Beatles, recording, the album. So they got to see and see the process, and that I
Hmm.
think really helped the Beatles in terms of keeping the legacy going because a lot of young people just commented how they didn't really know about the Beatles and then watched 8 hours of them in the studio and thought they were funny and cool and that really helped a lot.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Actually, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day and about the Beatles. And I said, it seems to me that even the younger generations now are love the Beatles, or you sometimes I'll ask someone who their favorite band is, and the, the kid could be like maybe 10 years old
Yeah.
or 9 years old. Oh, I love the Beatles,
Oh,
which is
absolutely.
pretty remarkable. I mean, the
Listen,
the range of generations, that's what's going on. The Beatles are just so damn good that they cross over into multiple generations. And like Brian Epstein said, many, many years ago, the Beatles will go on forever. And he knew, and of course
yeah,
he's absolutely correct. Yeah.
I think also it's people like all of us who are passing on to the younger generation, whether it's kids, grandkids. My kids are now 23 and 22, and when Beatles 1 came out, we were in the car singing. I mean, we had it playing all the time, and 8 days a week comes on, and after a couple of weeks of having it constantly play, I looked back, and when 8 days a week came to the clapping, the two of them in their car seats were both clapping, doing the, hold me, love me. And I was like, oh my God, that's so darn cool. But,
Well,
and
well,
then now my daughter's favorite Beatles song, she's a musician herself, is
well,
Eleanor Rigby. She loves the production. So,
yeah,
it's Ringo will tell you and Paul will tell you that in their audience they see everything from 4 to 94. So
yeah.
I think that's great, and there's a lot of great content creators right now who are young and with the Instagram and Facebook and TikToks who are creating a lot of really cool Beatle content who are in their 20s. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we are the torch bearers. We carry the
Yes.
torch. That's what we do. Hey, Tom, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I want to. I have two topics I want to hit on you, but I
Sure.
love in my bathroom right now is the cartoon Beatles. I have the
In
all
your
set up.
bathroom?
Yeah, yeah, I have the. I can see it right now.
Just
Are they
kidding.
on the on the shower curtain, Tom?
They're on the shower curtain. They're
Oh,
on
my
the
wife won't let
toilet.
me get that shower curtain.
Yeah, you've seen it before. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
your book actually on eBay is going for about $200. So
Really?
yeah,
It
if you have
goes
any
for more. It goes for more when it's not signed.
the when we were talking about generation, what I thought about is the Beatles didn't think too much about that cartoon, but I'm from the '70s, and I saw that cartoon all the time, and I
Yep.
believe in my mind that was a precursor to me loving the Beatles. I think it was something that they threw away. Yellow Submarine they didn't pay attention to, but for little kids through the years and going forward, I really think it tunes them into, hey, this is something great.
You're spot on, and this to me is the biggest missed opportunity so far by Apple. Yes, you're right. The Beatles didn't think much of it. They didn't mind cashing the checks though,
Yeah.
but they didn't. As they got older, they started liking it a lot more. Now, just in terms of the Saturday morning cartoons, let's leave Yellow Sub for now. That when I did my research, everybody told me that was the way they discovered the Beatles. And and then again in '70s in the syndication when you saw it, and I saw it again too. You know, everybody was watching cartoons back then. It's much different than today. There's no more Saturday morning cartoons anymore. But back then, you know, kids were flocking to the TV for every cartoon, not only the Beatles. So when you had the Beatles come on and you heard their music and it was in cartoon form, it's a win-win. And, you know, and also don't forget when they were on in the 60s originally, you know, they were working as the albums were coming out. So there were a lot of songs on in the cartoons that were filler, so to speak, album, you know, not the quote hits. So all the fans, all the kids in the 60s were hearing songs that, you know, were not on Beatles 1 now. You know, so, you know, you're hearing When I Get Home and Please Mr. Postman and you know, Devil in Her Heart and stuff like that, which were used in the cartoons because that's all they had at the time. So, you know, kids were really discovering the Beatles big time. And I think now, if they were released, and I've tried for 15 years now, believe me, every year, because I have a great relationship with Apple, but, you know, if they were released now, I still think there would be a lot of grandkids and kids who would really enjoy them. Yes, they were silly and everything, but look at a lot of the cartoons now, they're all silly. But I think now it's a missed opportunity because it would be a revenue stream as well. Don't forget, you know, there's only so much revenue stream the Beatles can use it or have at the moment because now they're just doing remixes and remasters and putting out, you know, but the cartoons were never ever released on DVD or VHS. So if they put them out, you know, I've offered to do a best of, you know, because a lot of them are not politically correct. But again, it's a historical cartoon. It should just be out with a disclaimer saying this is from the 60s. But I've offered to do a best of for them where I can pull at least 20 episodes that they could do a 2-hour best of, and I think it would do really well.
You know, it's interesting.
I watch it. I'm sorry. I watch it on YouTube all the time. There are episodes out there on YouTube.
The only problem with the YouTube episodes are that they are using live versions of Beatles songs instead of the actual versions because the algorithm will pick that up and it'll get killed for copyright.
Yeah.
So they've been using, you know, really horrible versions of the songs, you know, live versions, other people's versions, anything not to have that algorithm catch it up and take it off YouTube. So just be wary that, you know, what you're watching is not as it was seen, you know, in the 60s and 70s.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I guess you two guys are a little older than me. So that when, because the Beatle cartoons, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think they started airing, I want to say 66. Is that
65.
Right?
September 25th, 65.
Very good. And it lasted for about a year or so?
No,
Mitch?
it lasted for more than that. It lasted for 3 years and then another year in syndication or another year in repeats. So the last one was seen April 20th of 69 was when the last actual broadcast until they started back in syndication in the early 70s.
Okay, so 65 to 69, like saying, right? Well, at that time, people my age and older, we were already completely locked into the Beatles, you know, because of 1964 and what happened with the Beatles and the British invasion. So in 65, I heard about the Beatle cartoons, but I was playing in my rock band, you know, playing every Friday night, right? And every Saturday and sometimes Sundays. So Saturday morning, you know, there was no way in the world that I was going to get up and watch some cartoons, you know, because I did, you know,
totally understood.
Got to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, you know, from the gig. So people, a lot of people, yes, people younger than me, it was a great opportunity to get tuned in. That was a vehicle for them. Yeah. But for cats like me and older, you know, it was like, yeah, the Beatles cartoons, you know, because we were like, oh, Beatles 65 just came out. Oh, you know, oh, Help just came out, the album. Oh, you know, that's where we were completely thrown into the euphoria, if you will, and the excitement of the real Beatles, as opposed to the Beatle
Well,
profile.
it's funny you should say that because a lot of the older people I spoke to, when I say older, they were 17 at the time or whatever,
Yeah.
18, 19. A lot of the guys, I know this is going to sound horrible, but I have to say it because it's a fact. A lot of the
Okay.
guys were talking to their girlfriends and saying, how'd you like to go on a date tonight and then tomorrow wake up with the Beatles?
Oh,
So they were
really?
using it as a ploy to get their girlfriends in bed, so to speak, and wake up on Saturday with the Beatles.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
What a
I did
story.
get that story from a bunch of people that they definitely thanked the Beatles for their promiscuity, or able to fulfill their promiscuity.
Wow. Wow. That's
Yeah.
really something.
But
My
on the
goodness.
flip side, we did, just so I make it more of a positive. Um, a lot of teachers were saying that because the Beatle cartoons had sing-along segments with the lyrics, there were two sing-alongs in each one. That a lot of the kids were learning how to read because of the Beatle cartoons.
Whew. Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of a good positive.
Has an educational element to it as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your book. When was the book published,
The
Mitch?
book was published in 1999, late 1999. It took me 6 years to write.
Mm.
I found the writing process. No one had ever written about the cartoons. No one
Yeah.
cared.
Yeah.
So I happened to, that was my vehicle when I was young. I was 2 when the Beatles came here. I was 3 when the cartoons were shown, and I did watch them at 3. My mom will
Oh.
swear to it, and it just became, you know what? Unfortunately, my parents got divorced in 1970, and when the cartoons were shown again in like 72, there was a lot going on in my life, and it was like going home again when I saw the cartoons on Channel
Mm.
5 in
Mm.
New York. It was a
Oh.
breath of warmth for me that I didn't
Yeah.
experience because everything was going on.
Oh.
So I've always had an affinity for the cartoons, and then you know, writing about them was tough because there was really nothing on them. So
Mm.
I had to start from scratch and contacted one person who worked on them, and then he gave me a name, and so on and so on, and it just snowballed. But it took 5.5, 6 years to get everything together, and I'm still finding out a lot of stuff right now. Unfortunately, most of the people, the series participants, have passed away, which since I've interviewed them, so nobody can write a book differently than mine. Well, they could write it differently, but no one could do any further research because pretty much 99% of everybody is gone.
Really?
But it was a tough road to hoe, so to speak, because um, I was on my own. At the time there was no internet, so when I was looking up phone numbers, I had to go to the library and look up phone numbers. I had to go to the libraries and pull out microfiche and film
Mm.
of articles from the '60s, whenever there was any, and weren't really that many. So it was tough, but very fulfilling because thank goodness the book has gotten nice write ups and reviews, and that's nice to hear.
So when you revisited them in 72, it was like a comforting, warm blanket.
Absolutely, it was. It really
Seeing
was
them
that I
again.
could wrap
Yeah.
around me
Yeah.
and just breathe a sigh of relief that something in my life was going well. And
Oh,
I'm not
nice.
saying I had a bad childhood or anything, but with divorce, and then unfortunately my aunt and uncle passed away in a plane crash
Oh,
in
God.
'71,
Whew.
and my mom, who was distraught, it was her brother, her only
Oh,
sibling.
dear.
We had to move our family to take care of their kids, and then there was a whole bunch more that is for a totally different show.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Mm.
FBI and all that, I mean, it really, because my uncle
Oh,
was a prominent doctor. But quite frankly, that was going on in my
yeah.
life, and it was just seeing, always hearing the Beatles. I've always said the Beatles have helped me through a lot of great bad times, but have created a lot of great times. And both of those were true during those years.
Well, I certainly understand what you're saying because back in 69, I was going through some very difficult stuff in my life, and actually 68. And I could remember lying in bed with my transistor radio. I had a Zenith transistor radio.
Yep.
And I remember it was like late August or it was early September, maybe early September. And all of a sudden, Hey Jude came on.
Yep.
And at that time, I had broken up my first girl, my first true love. She dumped me for another guy. Right.
I've been there.
Yeah, yeah. And I was devastated because we were planning on getting married, and all that stuff. But when I heard Paul take a sad song and make it better,
Yep.
oh my God,
Yeah, it
that's what I
affects you
need
deeply.
to do. And it's kind of like what for me, it was Hey Jude that got
Yeah.
me through. When I have difficult things that are going on in my life at different periods of my life, I would listen to and I would think about take a sad song and make it better. I mean, what a great lyric. That lyric can apply to so many aspects of life and to so many people given their personal situations. And
Of
I
course.
I have no idea, if Paul is cognizant of that or not.
He
But
knows it.
but
He
boy,
knows it.
when he wrote those lyrics, of course he was talking to Julian. I mean, we know that. He wrote those lyrics for Julian because of what was going on with Julian and John and Yoko and Cynthia. Of course, we
Right.
all know that. So it was a personal message to Julian, but that message is worldwide. It speaks to so many people,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's just amazing to me, and it still does to this very day.
It's funny because there have been many times when I've tried to think of Beatles songs that fit an occasion. All right,
Mm, mm.
like a birthday, obviously birthday, but
Oh,
other than that, for a death in the family, for marriage, and there's not many Beatles songs that fit nicely into those categories of all the categories of like an occasion, like an anniversary. But the Beatles catalog, fits into everybody's occasions, meaning everybody's lives. At some point, you can pick a lyric that'll fit, not a song in general, but a lyric that'll fit, or
mhm.
anything. And I think that goes for all music, depending on whatever band you like. But the Beatles have such an eclectic catalog
Oh
that
yeah,
you can
yeah,
pick so many different lines that mean something to you at any time in your life. And again, it could be a totally happy occasion, a
hmm
great occasion, and it's like, all right, yeah, well, the Beatles. Unfortunately, with Paul, he has that song, "The End of the End," which on Memory Almost Full, and wow, that's like a funeral. That's saying he's talking about his mortality.
yeah.
But it's also a beautiful song. So there are so many great lyrics of Beatles songs, and the Beatles have always made me happy. Whenever I need you know, to really perk up for any reason, I just throw on the Beatles. It doesn't matter what song.
Hey Tom, do you have a certain Beatle lyric or Beatles song that gives you a boost when you're going through times of trouble?
Mother Mary, come to me. Uh, um, I would. I felt that the Revolver album as a whole created a sense of melancholy. For No One, Here, There, and Everywhere, Eleanor Rigby. There was a lot of depth that kind of put me in a spot through the year. Now that's the U.S. version. Through the
Yeah.
years, I've got into Tomorrow Never Knows and the other songs. So yeah, there was a vibe that album had for me. I know
Oh,
we're getting kind of close. I see the 10-minute mark. Mitch, I just watched. I'm going to shift a little. I watched you were a guest on one of the other podcasts, and you were talking about the Red and Blue album, and you were apologetic because you had opinions. You were very, you were always like, okay, well, this is my opinion. You don't want
Well,
you
I
don't
have to say that because, I've been, and I know this sounds really stupid, but I once gave an opinion on a Ringo album. I'm not going to say which one, that people seem to like, and I didn't. And I got such comments like, "Oh, your grandmother should die." I'm like, "What?"
wow.
ah,
And I was like, "Well, she's dead already." And like, "Oh, well, your mother then." I'm like,
oh,
"Are you kidding?" Because I had an opinion. So there,
oh,
Beatle fans are like sycophants, so to speak,
mm,
and they love everything, and I don't love everything. The one thing that our show does is we are not on anyone's payroll. So if we don't like something, we say it. And we say
Mhm.
it very, we don't say it nasty or anything. We say it graciously, professionally. We don't, we're never going to say, oh, that sucks. But we'll voice our opinion, certainly, because, look, we all know the Beatles had stuff that is not that great. So, yes, the red and the blue. You want to talk about that one?
You remind me of something because people always go, "Oh, wow, we're talking about Help, the album. Oh, we're talking about Let It Be." I wish people would, give it more props. And I'm like, well, that the albums have multiple hits, and they're in the top 500 albums of Rolling Stone. They're
Yep.
they're huge hits already. How much props do you want them to have? They're already mammoth albums that traveled since, for 50, 60 years. But you were talking about the red and the blue, and then I thought, hey, let's talk about the new stuff that's coming out, the Wings album that's coming out. Your thoughts on
Yeah.
that? Do you have any pre thoughts on the track listings or the?
Yeah, I do. I think again, it's another missed opportunity. Number one, I look, any Beatle release or solo release is great because it's going to hit someone in there in a way that has never been hit before. Someone will see the album, hear the album, and say, "Oh, I never heard that Wings song." Hardcore fans are always going to complain. We always bitch, moan, and complain. All right, and that's just what we do. But as far as the Wings compilation, first of all, we've had a million Wings compilations already, and all the best with Paul solo stuff.
Yeah.
I'm very glad though that this does not include any quote Paul McCartney solo. It's all Wings. I do think he could have given a little more props to Denny Lane. There are a few Denny songs on there. He and Denny were close from the beginning. I think he could have put on a couple of more. Maybe Time to Hide, which is a great
Yeah.
song. My
That's
goodness.
a great song. Yeah.
Or Again and Again and Again, which is another one that, he seems to diss Back to the Egg a lot, but that would have been good. Maybe even give Jimmy, Medicine Jar. And maybe instead of She's My Baby, which I love that album, I love that song from Wings at the Speed of Sound. But that album was a true band album. Maybe he puts on Must Do Something About It by Joe, sung by Joe
That's
English.
one of my favorite songs. That's a great Joe
It's
English.
and you know what? Again, Paul wrote that song, so it's not like he's giving money to Joe for
Right.
anything. He's still getting his own money, but he's still showing that Wings was a band.
Yeah.
So I think
Good
that's a
point.
missed opportunity. But also, I'm not a big fan of all the color variations, and this doesn't just apply to Paul. It's to anybody. Taylor Swift now has like 48 versions of her new album out in every color under the sun. Obviously we know why they do that because it garners more sales. Everybody's got to have every version. But I'm happy that the Wings compilation is coming out. Put it that way. I think the timing is horrible. The documentary Man on the Run is coming out in February. I think they could have waited till February to have this compilation come out because he's competing with Power to the People box set. He's competing with Anthology 4. And we're spending enough money as it is. I mean, for those who are going to spend, we're talking about a ton of money for these box sets.
Yeah.
And, and everybody's got to have them. So I think if you would have staggered it just until the movie came out to have it, be a companion to the movie, I think it would have been better for all of us, our wallets. But again, I love Wings, so any release is very good. And if you don't want to buy it, I hate people who say, or I like people who say that, hey, look, just because we're putting it out there for you doesn't mean you have to buy it. So just don't be negative about it. Just say it's not for me. No one's forcing you to go to the store or online and purchase the album. So I'm happy it's coming out. I do think, again, there's some missed opportunity there, but far be it from me. I'm sure there's reasoning. Well, maybe there's not. Who knows?
Okay. So, Tom, how are we doing time-wise?
We got 3 minutes left.
3 minutes left. Okay. I wanted to speak with you, Mitch, and we may have to do part 2 here.
That's fine.
We can start it now. I know that you met up with Sean Lennon the other day.
Last night, yeah.
I guess last night. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with Sean? What was he like? What did he have to say, et cetera, et cetera?
Can
So do you want to
can-
start part 2? Because
that's
this is gonna like go into it. So
Yeah.
why don't we? I'll leave this and then click on the other one.
That's right.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll be right back.
This sounds juicy. All right.
Yes, so we'll pick it up. We'll pick it up with Mitch and Sean Lennon in part 2. Stand
Yeah,
by,
you
folks.
could actually. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I thought you were talking to just us. Sorry.
So-
Yeah, we could pick up with your
Yeah.
question in part 2.
Okay, so stand by, folks. We'll be right back with more Come Together with Tom Gauker and our guest, Mitch Axelrod. Stand by.